This ain't your typical lovey-dovey show. We're about to see if these couples are really meant to be together for the long haul. Money, fame, new connections. Our contestants gotta figure out what their partner values most. The grand prize? $500 million. Welcome to Couple Breakers, the rawest, most honest battle for love you've ever seen. It's kinda like that heart signal show, but with partner swapping. This is a survival game for two couples. To rack up those prize points, you gotta get cozy with someone else's partner. Yeah, the girls were shocked by that rule. Her friends saying that's how you rake in the big bucks. This is gonna be wild. This is a real couples war. They started introducing the contestants, then boom, the games began. A few months back, one of our contestants was putting together an outfit, trying to nail that perfect, stylish look. She paired that top with these super unique pants. They might look basic, but they really make the outfit pop. Final touch, a leather jacket tossed over her shoulders. Adds a little swagger, a little "don't mess with me." That's Tori Grand. She's a total knockout. When she walks down the street, everyone's just blown away by her style. She's 25, studying design and fashion at the university. Her friends are giving her props. Everyone says hi, telling her how awesome she looks, just totally amazing. She greets them back, wishes them a good day, and tells them they're looking sharp too. Tori stepped up to the board and introduced herself to the students, deciding to kick off her lecture with a quick presentation. She started talking about modern fashion, sounding super professional and really connecting with them. After the presentation, everyone started clapping. Then, Tori decided to show them something practical. She got behind a sewing machine, and after a bit she whipped up an incredible dress. The professor was super impressed, gave her an A+, and the students cheered her on. Tori was seriously on top of her game. In her mind, nobody could touch her right then. The weather was amazing. She was staring at the sky and didn't see herself trip. Then she ate it. Guys walking by started whispering. Tori realized nobody's perfect. Everyone messes up sometimes. She got up, dusted herself off, and then saw someone. Standing in front of her was Catherine Jobs, also from the design and fashion department. She was 23. Tori remembered she'd never spoken to her, so she decided to say hello. Catherine didn't say anything, just turned around and started walking away real fast. Grand was surprised. She didn't get why this blonde was ignoring her, but she decided not to dwell on it. Tori got home and found her roommate, the guy she lives with, doing something weird. His name's Chuck Custer. He's 25. He was surprised to see her, all wrapped up in a scarf. He knew he looked ridiculous. He was just trying to be fashionable, but it didn't quite work. Kind of cute, though. Chaku needed to post a pic on Insta, but Tori wasn't around, so he tried to take one himself. She started looking at the photos, but they all looked terrible. A total train wreck. The dude begged Tori for help. She didn't argue. It was her time to shine. She worked her magic on him for a bit, and he ended up looking completely different. Now he's a total stud. Tori suggested taking his picture at home with a mug. These photos came out way better. She snapped a bunch from different angles. Perfect, just like she expected from her guy. Chaku was stoked it all worked out. Then she picked out a few photos and told him to post those ones. He thanked her. Tori was happy too. She was crazy about her model and she started hugging him. Later that night, she went outside. She was thinking and having a smoke when she noticed something. Looks like someone was moving boxes, so someone must have moved in, and from her university no less. That's Ben Eustace, 23 years old, studying music. Catherine invited him over. She was holding a blue book asking where to put it, but Ben decided to handle everything himself. She objected, saying she just wanted to help so they could grab a bite to eat faster. They started unpacking the boxes together and Ben kept glancing over at his friend. She looked worried, like something was off, and she was definitely lost in thought. Catherine didn't even notice him getting closer. She jumped. He snuck up on her like a ghost. She's okay. Just some upperclassmen from her department said hi to her today, and she felt awkward. So she pretended she didn't see her, and now she feels kinda crummy about it. Catherine's talking about Tori Grand, she's mentioned her before, says she's a good student and always dressed to the nines. She's worried the other girl thinks she's weird. She got so flustered she just bolted, but Ben calmed her down. Catherine's freaked out that Tori knows her name. She's a total nobody. The guy just told her she's hot. She doesn't think so. She throws on whatever. The guy says even comfy clothes can't hide that she's gorgeous. Ben's probably the only one who thinks she's pretty, but that's because she really is attractive. It'd be awesome if someone else thought that way too. The guy said he'd be down to say it every single day. She leaned her head on his shoulder and playfully called him a dork. He's already acting like one anyway. Tori got back home. Chuck already sent his photos and asked her to check them out and give him feedback. She noticed the new neighbor in the photos. She was hoping they'd become friends. A few months went by like that. Tori developed a very unique relationship with the new neighbor. Soon, the Heartbreakers show began. Announcing the first couple, these stars have no competition, Chuck Custer and Catherine Jobs. Next up, a couple burning with passion, ready to conquer anything, Tori Grand and Ben Eustace. Ben checked in with Catherine, asked if she was ready. She said yes, because today was finally the day. The guy was still nervous and asked her again. She admitted she was a little anxious. But she knows she has to give it a shot. She didn't go through all this prep for nothing. She wants to sing again. They headed to the park. Ben played guitar, and Catherine, wearing a rabbit mask, performed a few songs. People around were surprised. They didn't get why the performer was singing in a mask, but it was kinda cool. Catherine kept singing into the mic. Everyone really liked her performance, and people applauded. She was still nervous and glanced at Ben every now and then. He gave her an approving nod. She noticed that not as many people showed up as they'd hoped, but hey, it's their first gig. People on the side were whispering that the girl in the mask sings well, but her voice sounds really familiar. Some people figured she was a talented and famous singer, that's why she was hiding her face. Catherine told her friend to leave, and he didn't argue. Then they headed somewhere else. It was packed with people. Some celeb must have been performing, so they moved closer to check it out. They saw a girl singing, and her buddy was playing guitar. This singer had the voice of a real pro. People around them thought they were talented and hot. Catherine, hearing that, got a little lost in thought. Looks like she's no match for a beautiful singer like that when she's wearing a bunny mask. Ben didn't get where that came from. You could tell that couple had been performing for a while. If Catherine had been feeling a little better, she would have taken off the mask. Chuck was checking out his photos and reading the comments people were leaving on his feed. Girls are always hitting him up in his DMs. Totally expected, the dude's a straight-up heartthrob. He acts like he's all that, but he doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so he decided to respond politely. He should care about his followers. One girl wrote that he's her type and asked him out. Chuck's super popular. Obviously, he's full of himself, but Tori can't let that distract her. Soon, her business plan for the shopping center was ready. The budget's tight, but their combined savings should be enough. She needs to give it everything she's got for this job. Tori's thinking of using outfits and taking photos. The guy's been dieting for 3 months to look better, and it's already showing. His physique is improving. His body's in peak condition right now. As a model, he'll bring as much attention to the shopping center as a celebrity. Now they need to hit the stores. Chuck realized his friend is suggesting they go shopping. Tori's suggesting a quick look around. They need to hurry. She grabbed his arm and dragged him along. In the store, the girl thought a lot of the stuff was really awesome. Being awesome is the best compliment for Chuck. She pulled out a few things that should look great on him. This clothing is definitely his style. Tori wanted him to try this on, plus a coat, pants, and a hat. Chuck was taken aback, but he needed to change. The girl totally dug the result. She thought he looked like a freaking cover model, which made her day. She even started yelling to everyone around that he was a supermodel, and Chuck immediately clapped a hand over her mouth. If she could find the right clothes for herself, they'd both have an awesome look. The guy was down with that. The saleswoman figured they were modeling students. She said the style really suited them. Tori just asked for the total. On the way back, the girl admitted she hadn't planned on buying so much today. She dropped a bundle. Still, she was super happy. Back home, Chuck had to try on the clothes again, and she'd check out different combinations. Tori's such a fashion freak that their shopping center's gonna be awesome. She really digs how the clothes look on Chuck. The girl loved spending every day with Castor, planning their future together, feeling like a total badass. Catherine was walking down the street, talking on the phone, explaining that she was almost at the right house. She hasn't dolled herself up in ages, so she's running a little late. Don't expect too much. Chuck was walking towards her, and she got distracted looking at him and tripped, but he caught her just in time. Before that, Catherine thought she was the same as always until that encounter happened. She started apologizing to Chuck, saying she didn't see him. He thought she was super cute. On the phone, she confessed she bumped into someone, and this guy looked like a model, like a total celebrity. Later, Ben met up with her and told her she looked amazing, and she'd just put on a little something nice. Catherine wasn't used to it. She hadn't done that in a long time. He thinks she looks like a pop star and is really adorable. She thought he was exaggerating, but he suggested she perform without the mask tonight. She's still not ready. People might recognize her as that singer from back in the day. Ben didn't argue with her. They went back to the park, and Catherine put on her rabbit mask. She sang a song to applause. Alright, so this video just dropped about a rookie who's been blowing up lately. Looking at her, you can tell she's got that spark, that energy. The host asked everyone to welcome Glitter Judy. Catherine thought she looked awful, but Ben shot back, nah, she was totally charming. Being cute and being hot are two different things, okay? Catherine just looked like some regular girl, nothing special. That's probably why she vanished as Glitter Judy. Things might have been different if she'd been a knockout. But it's kinda harsh to say that to someone who's a fan. Her face is beautiful and her voice is incredible. That song she sang as Judy? He absolutely loves it, even though the recording quality is trash. It'd be awesome to hear it on a good player like Glitter Judy would have, but they don't have one. They even had a ton of CDs, but Catherine sold them all off one day. Now there's nothing left. Ben's bummed. He used to listen to her song every day. The girl remembered she might be able to find something at home. There should be some CDs left. Ben asked me to look for them. He's dying to listen. Tori mentioned that the weather's awesome today. She's gonna go grab a smoke. Catherine texted Ben that she found one CD at home. She'll drop it off after class today. It's the platinum edition and worth a fortune, but she doesn't care, 'cause he loves that song. The guy thanked her. It's priceless to him and he'll treasure it forever. Some dude came up to Catherine. Tori overheard her starting to argue with him. Then she saw him grabbing Catherine's arm, trying to get her to chat, but she wasn't having it. Tori recognized the girl. She was pushing away that guy who thinks she's cute but stuck up. He admitted he's not good at this sort of thing, but he really likes her and she needs to get that. Catherine told him to stop. She has a boyfriend. He wouldn't let up. Tori's like, what's this guy's problem? Time for Gran to show this stallion who's boss. She marched right up to those two. Tori hugged Curtin and asked how she was doing. It was clear she didn't know this dude. She also let on that she suspected this shady character was hassling Curtin. There's no way she'd fall for some creep holding her here against her will. He's acting like a total loser, no one's gonna go for that. The guy shot back that Tori's outfit was weird too. This insecure shrimp's got nothing on her height-wise. No way anyone's crushing on him. The guy doesn't get why she's even involved. Tori kept ripping on his height and saying he had no voice. This dude thinks she's nuts and he's not short. She just called him an idiot. The stranger took off. Curtin thanked her rescuer. Tori smiled, no sweat off her back. The blonde thanked her again. She was really freaked out. Gran started calming her down. Next time Catherine runs into a creep like that, she should tell him straight up she's reporting him. Tori pointed out they see each other a lot, but this is their first real conversation, and Catherine agreed. Grand invited her to the department party, but Catherine usually skips those kinds of things. Tori kept pushing, saying they'd just have one drink, it'd be a blast, and Catherine finally gave in. The girls said goodbye, and Jobs was thinking about the party with Grand and her classmates, and she was nervous. Catherine went inside the building trying to find the right room, and walked up to one of the doors. There was a small cloth bag hanging there. She dropped her disc into it and headed back. Ben got a text from Judy saying she left the disc in a bag on his door. The guy was confused because he doesn't have any bag. Catherine definitely got the wrong door. Tori walked up to her door and saw someone had left her a disc, which she thought was pretty interesting. She figured it was for Chuck and left it on the table while he was getting himself cleaned up. When he grabbed the disc, it looked like an ad to him, so he tossed it in the trash. Ben kept trying to call Catherine, but she wasn't picking up. He wondered exactly where she'd left that rare item. After a while, Tori was about to take out the trash, so she gathered everything into a bag. Just then, Ben noticed that same bag by her door, and then Grand came out into the hallway. They looked at each other, puzzled. Ben asked if she'd found anything in the bag. Tori confirmed it. She realized it belonged to this guy and asked him to wait a minute. Leaving the bag, the girl went back into the room. The bag was semi-transparent. You could see the disc inside. Tori remembered leaving the disc on the table. Chuck must have already grabbed it. She apologized to her neighbor. The disc was at home, but it's gone missing. She couldn't find it. She'll call and ask about it right now. Grand was floored when she saw her neighbor had already scattered her trash and was holding that very disc. Tori knew the disc was there, but didn't get how it ended up there. Ben figured she was messing with him. The guy snapped, saying she was out of her mind. Tori didn't understand why he was reacting like that. The girl started asking what was going on, and that's how their thing started. Tori got pissed that he was talking to her like that. He explained it was a seriously valuable item. The disc was just in the bag and she brought it home. Ben couldn't believe she'd throw it out. Tori didn't toss it. She didn't get why he was mad. Someone must have put it there by mistake. The guy couldn't figure out how the disc ended up in the trash bag if she didn't throw it away. If he hadn't seen it right then, he never would have found it. The tension between them was thick. She should take better care of her valuables. Tori wondered what was so damn valuable on that disc. Ben was done with the conversation and hoped he wouldn't run into her again. That pissed her off. She caught up to him, blocked his way, hoping he'd explain himself and apologize. She wasn't about to let him off the hook. They weren't finished. Ben was a little shocked. The guy couldn't figure out what she wanted. She kept going on about the trash, but he still didn't get it. Then the girl pointed at the scattered garbage and told him he was really pushing it. Tori demanded the young dude pick up all the trash, put it back in the bag, and get lost. She shouldn't have to do this, since it was the neighbor who made this mess and should clean it up himself. Ben didn't argue with her and hurried to shove the scattered stuff back into the bag. He hoped the neighbor was happy now, and even more, hoped he'd never see her again. Then he left and slammed his door shut. Tori just stood there, totally confused. She was fuming. That guy really got under her skin. Grand went back to her place. She also got curious about the disc and started digging up info about it online. It's probably some old singer. Then she saw a bunch of sites about Judy from Glitter. Tori remembered, back in the day that song was a mega hit. The singer vanished after just one track. She also found out that Judy was actually Catherine Jobs, and people thought her name was cool. Grand couldn't believe it. She's in the same department, but nobody seems to know. Looks like that dude's a huge fan. Tori knows she messed up, but she's not apologizing. The department party rolled around. Tori was looking everywhere for Catherine, and when she spotted her, she called her over. Jobs was a little confused, said hello, and Grand invited her to sit down next to her. She thinks Catherine's actually pretty cute, looks totally different. She hasn't dressed up like this in ages. Jobs felt like she was straight out of a comic book, remembering her recent chat with Ben. He was wondering why she was hitting up the party, since she never used to go to those things. She reminded him that Tori, that senior, had invited her, and Catherine wanted to look her absolute best. That's why she decided to get a little enhancement and wants to busk without covering up. If she gets a little bit more polished, nobody will recognize her as Judy, and Ben didn't argue with that. Her classmates were shocked to see Catherine actually hanging out and drinking with them. She always avoided it. She shot back that nobody ever invited her, and Tori was giving her the once-over. Some dude announced that whoever loses this round chugs a penalty shot and gets a timeout. The loser's gotta sing a penalty song, or else she'll just be a total drag. They're gonna have a blast. She asked everyone shorter than her to put a finger down, and Jobs did, so she got the penalty. The guys were yelling that she absolutely had to sing. They were even raising their hands all dramatically. One dude said she reminded him of someone, especially since she was all dressed up, probably a singer. He was sure he'd seen someone who looked like Catherine before, way back when, but he couldn't place the name. Jobs stayed quiet, and Tori decided to hold off on revealing who she really was for now. She saw that Catherine was getting anxious and suddenly shouted that it was her turn and she wanted karaoke. She grabbed a bottle and a spoon instead of a mic and announced that she was Tori Grand, singing live. The girls started performing, but it wasn't exactly going great, and the guys started covering their ears. They were calling her nuts and begging her to stop, saying it was just awful and their ears were bleeding. Tori kept singing and laughing the whole time, and that's how they spent the whole evening, right up until it was time to split. Tori decided to get some more fresh air. She could see that Catherine was tired, and the guys were acting like a bunch of kids. Jobs admitted she had a blast, hadn't relaxed like that in ages. Grand's glad she enjoyed herself. Catherine thanked her new friend. Tori thought about the song and said she absolutely loves to sing. Jobs confessed she used to be a singer back in the day, so that's the story. Tori admitted she already knew, but just found out recently. Catherine was a little embarrassed. She thanked her for not spilling the beans and mentioned that Tori always looks sharp. Grand admitted she's always wanted to talk to her. Seeing her reminds her of someone. He's just as sweet as Catherine. It's a guy she's got a thing for. Tori suggested hanging out more often. Jobs readily agreed. She's really happy about it. Grand giggled in response. The girls met at the university cafe. Tori decided to introduce her to her friends. She also made some clothes, but thought it might be too much. Jobs really loved the outfit. She thinks everything looks great on Tori. Then they went out for a smoke. Catherine tried to light up, but coughed like crazy the first time. It's just Tori looks cool with a cigarette. After that, the girls headed to a cafe. It's got a nice vibe and not too crowded, a chill spot. Jobs liked the cocktails. This cafe is just starting to get popular. Tori found it by accident. She's here a lot with her boyfriend. Catherine can come here too, before the cafe gets too crazy. That's how Gran told her friend about this place, but she later regretted it big time. The breakup show is holding auditions for people who want to test their relationship. Catherine saw the ad and asked Ben if he knew about it. He'd heard of it, but hadn't watched. The producers are launching a new breakup show. Looks like couples are on it, and there's a lot of buzz. Details are scarce, but to win the cash prize, you have to, interact with other people. Ben never signed up for this, and she can't imagine anyone who would. He probably wouldn't even watch the show, and Catherine felt a little let down. Catherine met up with her girl Tori and asked her where she gets her clothes. She wants to dress like that too, but Grand admitted she doesn't have the cash for designer stuff. Usually she orders online or from import stores, and her friend asked about the first option. She'll look some up and send them over. Then another girl walked in and announced the Separators show. Tori's heard about it from her boyfriend, and her friend suggested she should go on it. She'd be perfect. It's for couples, so she could bring her boyfriend, but Grand's not looking for that kind of fame. Her friend kept pushing, saying she could promote her shopping center too. She was born for this. Her boyfriend's a total hottie with great style. They'd be an amazing couple. They absolutely have to apply. Catherine watched Tori's reaction, remembering how she herself had recently put on an act. Then she remembered seeing that couple on the street, the girl singing and the guy playing guitar. After a while, Ben noticed his girlfriend wasn't eating anything. She explained she was on a diet. She sang on the street so many times, but she never got famous. Maybe she needs a new angle. The guy suggested they extend their set time and then see what happens. Catherine just stared at him silently, then asked if he'd ever thought about changing up his look. He's a really good guy and she cares about him a lot, but he could definitely bring more eyes to their act. They'd be a total power couple. She'd heard Tori's boyfriend was good-looking and had great style. Ben guessed that Gran must have told his girlfriend to lose weight and get some work done. The girl got flustered. Her boyfriend could just drop it if he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't know what to say. Ben was walking down the street with a bag when he spotted a couple chatting away, not far off. It was Tori, and now she was smoking with the security guard, which looked kinda weird. Plus, she was talking to him all casual, no respect at all. Eustace thought that was pretty ballsy. He shot her a look of total disgust. Grand caught that look and was like, whoa. She couldn't figure out what was up with this dude's face, but she wasn't about to ask. Later, Ben was walking past the building and saw the girl stacking up empty bottles. The guy figured she was the one knocking back all that booze. She caught his judgy glare again. She couldn't figure out what his problem was, this time, so she just kept her mouth shut and kept doing her thing. After a while, there were a ton of boxes in the hallway. Tori apologized to the neighbors for the mess. She's been busy getting ready for the shopping center opening, and she'll clean it all up in a snap. Ben walked right past her without a word, didn't even offer to help her with those big boxes. Then he finally glanced back with that look again. Tori can't figure out what's eating him. Catherine has her audition today, but she's skipping meals again, says she can't risk looking puffy. She needs energy to sing. She starved herself yesterday too. She decided to head out, needed to leave early. Ben promised he'd wait for her. Catherine walked silently towards the exit, leaving him by himself. Suddenly, he heard a crash. He turned around and saw Catherine had fainted right there in the doorway. The launch party for Nice's new product line was kicking off, and Chuck met up with his buddies there. They chatted for a bit, then a girl asked who was going to be on that breakup show thing. It's a bit of a gamble, but that show's a guaranteed hit. If they're casting, you gotta throw your hat in the ring. If Chuck went on, it would blow up. His girl's got a killer sense of style after all. Those two are practically required to participate, especially since his girl's managing his whole online presence. Another dude backed that up, saying they had to be involved, and Chuck was starting to feel a little lost. That morning, Tori was getting ready, heading out to college, and Castor finally decided to talk to her. His voice was serious, so he must have some kind of favor to ask. Grand agreed to hear him out. The guy wants to talk about them, and he suggested she participate in this separation games show. She was surprised, but the show would be a hit if they joined. They'd be swimming in clout. Tori doesn't believe Chuck really wants to go on there. It's not going to be a walk in the park. They'll get ripped to shreds. If she's by his side, he can handle anything, but they're already swamped with the shopping center. For Tori, the project comes first. Participating would help promote it, and she started to feel conflicted. She doesn't need anyone's admiration, especially since she's not chasing fame and she doesn't want to participate. Dude figured Gran doesn't even think about him. If this keeps up, he's gonna stay stuck in the mud. He hasn't gained any followers in ages. He's got no clue what else he can do. Getting that recognition she talked about is key for Chuck. He's dead set on becoming famous. The girl paused for a sec. She doesn't get where these thoughts are coming from, probably the follower thing. He thinks he's stopped moving forward, but that's BS. He's gotten way more confident and successful. She gave him an encouraging look, then hugged him and gave him a friendly pat on the back. Chuck shouldn't sweat it. He's gonna be a superstar someday, she promises. Catherine opened her eyes and saw Ben freaking out in front of her. She was in a hospital room. She was totally lost. Why was she here? The guy confessed she'd passed out cold. Jobs remembered the audition and panicked. She should have been there ages ago. Ben stopped her. That's not important right now. She needs rest and a checkup with the doctors. Catherine insisted she was still going. She'd regret it for the rest of her life if she wasn't there. She got ready fast and headed for the door. The guy was worried she was a real handful. Soon she got to the audition hall and was performing one of the songs in a special room. Several judges sat in front of her, one of whom recognized that she performed under the name Judy. He wondered why that wasn't on the application. Anyway, her performance was missing something special. Catherine was bummed. She thought she sang well, but something was still missing. As for her look, her style wasn't refined, even kinda bland. The judge apologized to her. Later she met Ben at a cafe. He asked how the audition went, even though he kinda knew. She sang okay, but the judges weren't really feeling it. Eustace wondered what exactly was wrong. This girl, Catherine, she's plain, kinda drab, totally clueless about what anyone's criticizing. She doesn't get how stylish and vibrant she is. Guess she thinks she needs to be like her sister, Tori. Ben's pissed hearing that name again. He can't figure out why his girl's skipping meals again. She thinks she needs to lose more weight to be pretty? Dude's fuming. She's gonna end up back in the ER. He's told her she's hot and in shape, so she can't understand why she bombed that audition. Either way, Catherine wants to tweak her face. She just heard about this one injection. Or, instead of cosmetic stuff, she could get plastic surgery on her chin. Ben's even angrier now. He told her to stop, especially since he kept his mouth shut about the Botox. He doesn't get why she needs chin surgery. She's seriously gorgeous, right now. Catherine doesn't understand why Eustace is against it. He thinks she's constantly talking nonsense. But he wants her to be happy, right? Jobs just doesn't get why he can't just be supportive. He can't condone that kind of thing. It's 'cause he cares about her too much, but she's not buying it. She said the dude was driving her nuts, then spun around and stormed out of the coffee shop, totally stressed. Before leaving, Catherine yelled at Ben not to even think about following her. The guy was just left standing there, confused. Tori showed Chuck the clothes. She came up with a new jacket design and made a sample. She asked him to try it on. She wants to see how it fits. Custer agreed. When he put it on, she was digging it. Looks awesome. He's the shopping center's best model. Then Tori asked him to take the jacket off. She wants to see how it looks on her. The guy was surprised. Tori explained that this kind of clothing works for both men and women. Everything will be like that, except for underwear, and it'll come in all sizes. Chuck thought girls went for more fitted styles, but Gran just laughed. Then she put on this jacket and asked if it looked good, and Chuck wasn't gonna argue. This kind of brand is gonna be a trend and carve out a new market niche. She's loving it. It's awesome. She's stoked that she keeps creating unique stuff, but Chuck feels like he can't keep up. She cracked a joke, and he was surprised, but then he realized she was messing with him, and he got salty. Chuck turned around and headed for the exit, but Gran didn't get why he was acting like that. That night she was smoking, wondering why Chuck wasn't picking up her calls. He must be super pissed. She was heading back when she saw Ben in the elevator, already pressing a floor button. He spotted Tori from a distance and was trying to close the elevator doors faster to avoid running into her. She hadn't seen him yet and just yelled for them to wait and not close the door. She managed to hit the button, and the doors that had just closed opened right back up. Seeing that same neighbor, Gran couldn't hide her surprise, but he just silently turned his head away. Still, she wants to know why he's closing the elevator doors when someone's about to get in. He admitted he didn't want to ride with her, but now, looks like he doesn't have a choice. Chuck went to a cafe, sat at the bar, took a selfie, and checked himself out a little. He realizes he's useless without Tori, and it pissed him off. Then he heard someone walk in. Another girl sat down not far from the bar, but Chuck wasn't paying her any attention yet. The girl was also trying not to look at anyone, but then they started glancing at each other. Catherine was crying quietly. Then she saw this guy offer her a handkerchief. She was a little surprised that someone noticed her, and Chuck asked her what was wrong. Catherine remembered she was the one who bumped into him the other day. Castor remembered her from then too. She admitted she was impressed by him back then. He got curious about what exactly impressed her. She said he's got great style. The girl decided back then she'd stumbled upon a celebrity. The guy got embarrassed. He's not that popular. Chuck just works as a freelance model. Christine was happy because that's what she thought. He's got a lot of followers, he's an influencer, but that's no surprise to Castor. The guy realized she's not on social media, but she's beautiful and would get popular right away. Christine seemed really charming to him when they first met. The girl got sad again. Chuck apologized for what he said. He thought he'd said something wrong. They sat in silence for a while. Tori's all over Ben. She wants to know why he hasn't been talking to her today. He didn't see a reason. She doesn't get why he's looking at her like she's some kind of bug. She's pissed because this keeps happening, and he's still trying to figure out how to explain it. Another neighbor heard them yelling and asked if they were coming in or what. She just glared at him to stay out of it. You could cut the tension between her and Ben with a knife. They walked to their rooms in silence. But as they were about to go inside, Tori turned to him. If Ben keeps looking at her like she's some kind of weirdo, she's not gonna let it slide. Then she went into her room and slammed the door. The dude just stood there in the hallway. Catherine admitted she was jealous. Always wanted to be famous. Chuck said she'd get there. He thinks she's got a cute and expressive look. Jobs was genuinely surprised. She's not that confident, she's a total chicken, and you gotta do a lot to get popular. She was thinking about getting some work done, maybe a little nip and tuck. That way she could feel more confident. But everyone around her's against it. She remembered her last talk with Ben at the cafe. Catherine doesn't get why it's so wrong to change yourself. She wants it, that's why she's pissed. Chuck totally gets her. He thinks everyone else is full of it. If you want to be hotter, why not? Especially these days, it's nothing to just go get surgery. He'd totally back her up on that. She was surprised, couldn't say a thing. That's when Chuck asked if he could help her out. He's not like super famous, but he could be her stepping stone and definitely make her a star. He'd do it, of course, if that's what she really wants. Catherine couldn't believe what she was hearing. She lit up a cigarette. Now Chuck was surprised. Didn't expect her to smoke, but it's kinda hot. Catherine figured if he's so popular, he must have been on a bunch of shows. The guy admitted he just got an offer for one. She guessed it was that show, The Heartbreakers. But that's not them. Chuck doesn't think he'll ever get an offer from them, but Catherine thinks the opposite. If she gets better and more famous, she'll definitely be on a show like that. It's her shot at stardom. Castor confirmed that she'll get popular by becoming more attractive, since he's agreed to help her out. She shouldn't get the wrong idea, she already looks great, but Catherine was lost in thought. She doesn't believe she's beautiful. Then a silent pause hung between them for a while. By this time, they were already out on the street, and some guy on a motorcycle drove past them. He drove way too close, almost clipped her. Chuck managed to grab her so she wouldn't fall. The guy told Catherine to be careful, and the motorcyclist just kept going, didn't even stop. The couple just stood there by the cafe, not saying a word, just looking at each other. He's famous and amazing, and the only one who promised Catherine he'd definitely help her. She was so caught up in her feelings that she couldn't help herself and leaned in to kiss him as a thank you. Chuck wasn't expecting that, and he felt super awkward. Catherine immediately snapped out of it and apologized. She freaked out so bad that she bolted, and the guy was yelling for her to stop. He woke up in the morning thinking it was all a dream. He couldn't believe it actually happened. Then the door slammed open and he saw Tori standing there. She looked dead serious. He wasn't in the mood for drama right now, but he could tell she was pissed. She demanded he tell her straight up what he was doing yesterday. Chuck didn't even know where to begin. She wants to know where he went to tie one on, because he came home completely wasted. The dude couldn't believe it, he just laughed. Tori told him to get ready, they had somewhere to be. They're heading to Dardo Island. She's been dreaming of going there forever. Catherine woke up, replaying last night in her head, and thought, man, I acted like a total moron. While she was beating herself up, Ben came in, wanting to know if she was okay, if everything was all right. Eustace suggested they go for a walk together. Some fresh air would do her good. Tori also went for a walk with her guy. The weather was just perfect today. She reminded Chuck that they'd been here before, on their first trip together. She can't believe how much time has passed since they first met. It feels like it was just yesterday. He remembered sitting in class, his classmates yapping next to him, talking about some girl. They were wondering what she'd be wearing today. Then Tori walked into the class. Her uniform was different. The teacher yelled that she was dressed inappropriately again, threatening to confiscate that stuff. Tori declared that they should change the school uniform if they didn't want her showing up like this. Or they might let her come here in casual clothes, but they can't just change the rules. School uniforms are supposed to be a little uncomfortable, straight skirts, and that vest is just, ugh. Only their school still makes them wear that stuff, but the teacher was against it. Tori had to change. The students didn't get why she dressed like that and didn't wear what everyone else did, like she was showing off. One time, Chuck walked up to her and admitted that, in his opinion, she looked really awesome. That's all he wanted to say to her then. Then he hurried back. The girl was a little confused. Soon they started dating. They often went out for walks together. Their relationship was growing. They didn't care that many people around them were whispering. They hung out in a bunch of places. Chuck was embarrassed by the gossip that Tori was wasting her time on him, but people just don't see how sweet he is. The guy still doubted himself. He thought he wasn't even in her league. He knows nothing about style. She thinks he's hot as hell already, but if he wants help with that, she's game. Chuck's gonna be even more one of a kind than he is now. He couldn't believe it, and Tori started explaining the whole deal. Before long, he had over 1,000 followers on social media. She told him he was a looker, after all. Now they'd taken off to Dardo Island, where they were lighting sparklers on the beach, and Tori was loving it. She thought they were as stylish as the place itself and suggested they come back again sometime. She was saying that she was happier with Chuck than with anyone else, but the guy was thinking about something else entirely. He remembered Catherine saying that he was like a big shot, and she thought that was awesome. Meanwhile, she was hanging out with Ben, chilling in the park and listening to music. The dude remembered the first time she walked into his class and introduced herself as a freshman. After class, he met up with her to make sure she was the Judy he was thinking of, and she was surprised. Ben knew it right away from her voice. He confessed he'd been a huge fan of her songs for ages. He said it with his head down, and when he looked up, she was already hurrying away. Catherine hid in the bathroom, worried about rumors starting. She didn't know what to do. They'd catch each other's eyes in class sometimes. Then Ben came up again and apologized for what happened. Then he asked her to take a look at a song he'd written, thinking about her voice. That evening, Catherine decided to check it out. It was called Heroine of the Night, and she immediately started humming it. Now, at the picnic, they were listening to that very song, and afterwards Ben suggested they head back. He figured she was hungry and promised he could maybe whip something up for her. They headed towards the dorm, and in the hallway they ran into Tori and Chuck. Everyone was embarrassed for their own reasons. Grant got curious about what Jobs was doing there. Ben knew exactly who Tori was the second he heard her name, but Chuck was drawing a blank on how they knew each other. When Catherine saw her new acquaintance holding Tori's hand, she realized he was her boyfriend. They all headed to a cafe together, where the waitress apologized for the wait and said she was ready to take their order. The vibe at the table was pretty heavy, so Tori decided to try and lighten the mood. She was blown away that Catherine was her neighbor's girl, and Jobs didn't even know they were neighbors. Then Grand introduced her boyfriend and mentioned they lived together, which totally threw Chuck for a loop. But he played it cool and introduced himself, and he and Catherine acted like they were total strangers. Custer suddenly jumped up, saying he needed to run to the store real quick. Tori was clueless about what was going on. Jobs got up too, saying she had to hit the restroom, leaving Tori and Ben alone. Gran finally gets why Eustace was so steamed about that disc back then. She never would have guessed. So, Ben's like a total fanboy, and the dude admitted he's completely blown away. Catherine was telling him about her awesome and gorgeous friend. He didn't realize she meant her. Tension flared up between them again, both remembering the bad stuff from way back when. Chuck went outside and snapped a few selfies, then Catherine started walking towards him. They stood there in silence for a bit, not knowing what to say or how to make things right. Then they looked at each other at the same time, and both started apologizing at once. She apologized for yesterday, said she felt terrible, and gave Chuck a deep bow. She asked him to forget everything, then turned and ran off, leaving the guy totally stunned. He told her to wait and tried to explain that it wasn't a mistake, and she stopped dead in her tracks. Custer repeated that it wasn't a mistake, admitting that he's actually losing his mind over her. He's clueless about what's happening to him, but hey, he is dating the amazing Tori. Catherine seems just as special to him, and both of them knew this was wrong. They shouldn't, but they really wanted to. He moved closer. They locked eyes. Back home, Tori was working on her laptop while Chuck was glued to his phone all day. She finally said something. Catherine met Ben at a cafe, but she kept checking her phone and texting too. Eustace figured she was super busy, but she was just replying to one message and didn't stop. That evening, she met up with Chuck. They were stoked to see each other. They didn't care about anything else. Tori tried calling him, but his phone was off. She was fuming. She couldn't figure out what he could be doing so late. It was getting to her. Catherine texted Ben too, saying she was swamped with stuff and they wouldn't be able to hang out as much. Eustace was clueless. Her birthday was coming up, and the girls were still seeing each other at school. Catherine's friends asked her to grab some chicken, but she apologized, saying she couldn't make it today. Others figured she and Tori were having some issues, but Gran denied it, even though she could tell something was up. Time went on, Catherine and Chuck kept messaging each other and they met up in the evenings. They even celebrated her birthday together, and Chuck gave her a giant teddy bear. One day, Chuck went up to Tori and suggested they break up. She was immediately confused, thinking he was joking. But Chuck had already packed his things and was standing in front of her with a suitcase, ready to leave. She still didn't understand what he was talking about. It was so sudden. Chuck asked her not to call him. The guy left. Tori was alone. She realized he was serious, and that made her furious. She met up with her friends at a cafe and started complaining about him. Her friend had never liked him anyway. Another one of her friends was saying he'd regret losing Tori his whole life, that he was a real scumbag. They live together in an apartment, and it's pretty clear he's broke now, so they're wondering what's going to happen to him. Grand knows herself that Castor can't make it without her. Then she started ripping into him again. After a while, Ben went to university. Catherine was taking classes too, but she wasn't expecting to run into him. But they bumped into each other anyway. Jobs flinched and was about to go her own way. She didn't say a word. Ben watched her walk off, and he knew it was over between them. That evening he got home, and at the same time, Tori came to her door. They both looked miserable. Then they went into their separate apartments. Ben grabbed a box of Catherine's stuff and tossed it out. There was still one of her CDs in the desk drawer. The guy picked it up and hesitated for a minute. That CD went into the trash too. Eustace sat down feeling totally wrecked and like crap. Meanwhile, Tori trashed her place and crashed out among the mess. She was replaying all the good times with Chuck, picturing them having a future together. Now she just felt like a fool, so she figured she'd get into designing clothes to take her mind off things. She worked late into the night, sketching new designs, trying to block everything else out. Then she saw that Chuck had finally posted something new on social media after ages. She saw a bunch of photos of her ex now hanging out with Catherine. They were all lovey-dovey, and it made Tori feel like total garbage. She was so pissed. She couldn't wake up the next morning, just sat on the edge of the bed for a while, hoping it was a bad dream. Then Gran started slapping herself in the face, still thinking she was dreaming, but nothing changed. She went over to her neighbor's place, who reluctantly opened the door, looking just as rough as she felt. Tori showed him the photo, wanting to confirm if he really broke things off with Catherine. The guy was thrown for a loop. He tried to slam the door, but Gran stuck her foot in the doorway. Ben didn't get what his neighbor wanted from him. He and Jobs are done. Kaput. Tori wants to know where she's living. Chuck isn't answering her calls, and neither is Catherine. Nobody knows where those two disappeared to. It's pretty clear Custer's crashing at Jobs' place. Ben doesn't know any of this. He told his neighbor to leave him alone. He needs to think. He shut the door on her. Later, Gran saw another photo of Chuck having dinner with his princess at a restaurant. Tori threw her phone down in a rage. She can't believe that dirtbag had the nerve to post something like that. Ben was looking at a photo on Catherine's feed, remembering her telling him how much he meant to her. Then he remembered them arguing at the cafe and how she got mad that he was against her getting chin surgery. He figured out she was talking about Chuck, the good-looking guy with all the style. Tori was absolutely furious, dreaming about the moment she'd catch them and make them pay. Some old lady walked by and noticed this seriously bad vibe around Gran's apartment. While they were busy getting screwed over, Catherine and Chuck just kept on dating. While they were cooking lunch together, Castor got an invite to the Split Up show, and they were stoked. Tori and Ben will soon decide to join that show too. They will soon have a chance to get even. Castor got super famous because he's always posting pics of himself with Judy. Tori explained to her friend that she's an idol, used to sing in Sparkle, and her friend was totally surprised. She was really cute, and her friend wondered what their relationship was like now. It's just a guess, but she can be sure, because the face and voice definitely belong to Judy. Likes were pouring in, and Chuck's follower count was blowing up, same with Catherine. Jobs was stoked. Their date night pic from yesterday already hit 100,000 likes. Dude's thinking, that's not how someone with that many likes should be talking. She thanked him, then saw someone commented that she's secretly an idol. She showed Chuck, and he noticed they just picked up another 2,000 followers. Catherine wanted to dream with him, become famous together, both living the fantasy and loving it. These two completely forgot about the people they used to obsess over. They've got their own thing now. As they already know, the concept of the Heartbreakers is couples who want to really test their love. These couples start interacting with the other side, and the program exposes any weaknesses. It's a serious setup, but Catherine and Chuck have nothing to worry about. Their relationship is solid. They need to play a couple that showcases the power of their love, make 'em look good. With celebs like Chuck and, back in the day, Judy, this show's gonna kill it. Catherine realized she's gotta drop the bomb about being an ex-idol and got nervous. Their plan isn't just to casually mention she's a celeb, but to officially announce it. This is a killer opportunity for both the show and Catherine. She's gotta see it as a win. That evening, Jobs got to thinking, her embarrassing past is gonna be out there for everyone to see. She really wants to be on the show, but doesn't want to push herself using the Judy name. Chuck thinks it's messed up if she keeps hiding who she is for the rest of her life. They'll spin it to their advantage, and she'll get even bigger, which is what she wants, right? She's gotta let people see her face and talent. It'll help them both blow up. Chuck suggested they promise not to fight and only move forward. He's convinced their love is stronger than couples who've been together 5 or 10 years, that they can make this work. The couple decided to commit, and people were shocked that Catherine was actually Judy. One girl recognized Chuck, which was weird, 'cause he's supposed to be with Tori. Those who didn't know about Chuck and Catherine's thing were totally confused about what was going on. Grant confirmed that Custer's now dating Jobs, and they're also planning to be contestants. Tori's not heartbroken anymore, she's just pissed, and her friends were surprised. Chuck only got famous because of her. The girl remembered their first meeting again, then how their relationship developed and his popularity grew. He really owes his success to her, and Tori started feeling like crap again. She stumbled across an ad online saying the full cast of The Breakup Show still hasn't been announced. Grant decided to do some digging and find out exactly what this show was all about. The main rule to prove your love is that each person in the couple has to mingle with the others. Tori had a flash of something she shouldn't even be considering, a thought that should never have crossed her mind. She went back to her neighbor, wondering if he'd seen the article about the Separators show. Ben had seen the article, but he didn't get what his neighbor was after. He didn't seem angry anymore. But this should be getting to him. The guy's still stewing, still furious at those two. Then Gran spilled the beans, saying she wanted revenge. She couldn't stand seeing them so happy. An idea took root in her head. She proposed that she and Ben team up and get back at the backstabbers. Ben wasn't sure how they could pull it off. The girl explained they'd do it on the Separators show. It's a crazy plan that should never have been conceived, but now Grand is dead set on it. Ben wasn't having it. He started closing the door, saying goodbye to the neighbor, and she got pissed. He can't just walk away. Tori dropped another bomb on him, and he couldn't believe she was serious. The whole point of the show is to break up couples. It's the perfect place to get some payback. This dude seriously doesn't get what Tori's even thinking. He told her goodbye again. The girl shouted that today's the absolute deadline for applications. Ben slammed the door shut. She kept banging for a while. The guy went to his room and crashed on the bed, lost in thought. Grand headed back to her place. She decided to apply for that breakup show. It took her a while. Ben woke up in the morning, still beat. The room felt emptier than ever. He went to make breakfast, but he was totally out of milk for his cereal. Bummer. Eustace plopped down on the couch, ready to eat whatever he could find. Then a message popped up on his social media. He's clueless because he's been deliberately avoiding that place, and then Catherine's page pops up. She was about to sing Night Heroine, a song written just for her. Ben was so stunned he dropped his phone on his forehead, and then the song started playing. Eustace listened to the lyrics and remembered all the times he and Catherine spent together. He got bummed out. People were asking in the comments where the tune came from and assumed Chuck wrote it. Tori was about to grab some breakfast when her neighbor showed up out of nowhere. She opened the door. The guy was curious about the nitty-gritty of how they were gonna get back at the people who screwed them over. First, they gotta act like they've been dating for like 5 days. Ben was taken aback. To get on the show, you gotta be a solid couple, so they need to cook up a believable backstory. They'll make it seem like they both went through a rough breakup and then found comfort in each other's arms. The reason they both got their hearts broken in the past is because their exes started hooking up. They were betrayed, used, and left high and dry, and they're using that story as their motive. We've got 1 hour left till the deadline, no time for a photo shoot, but Ben's got a full body shot of himself. And just like that, Grant and Eustace are officially a thing, a couple formed 5 days ago. Next, they're applying to the Exposed show to come face-to-face with Catherine and Chuck. This is to call out their exes and show everyone the dirty deal they were handed. Applications sent. We should get a notification in about a week, so now it's just a waiting game. Tori doesn't know if they'll get on, but if they screw this up, she's gonna make them pay no matter what. Ben's wondering what'll happen if they actually make it, but she hasn't answered him yet. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, they were on pins and needles waiting for the results. Grand showed up to Eustace and told him their application got accepted. They really dug her letter. She means her style, they probably just fell head over heels for her vibe when they saw it. Next up is the interview, so they gotta practice acting like a couple. Tori gave Ben the once-over. He can't show up to the interview looking like that. The guy flashed back to Catherine's offer to change his look, even though she said she liked him as he was. Eustace never had his own style, 'cause he just wasn't into that kind of thing before. But he's willing to try changing with Grand's help, so everyone can see a better version of him. The girl prepped everything and started the makeover with his hair. She really went to town on it. The result was totally killer, but Ben was still freaking out a little. Tori never imagined he could look that hot. She won't admit it, but she thinks they might actually pull this off. Ben's gotta trust her. Look, appearances matter, sure, but they really need to work on everything else now. It's super important to practice acting like a couple. She grabbed his hand, then let go. Then they started practicing how they'd introduce themselves. Eustace thought it was going to be mortifying. Grand reminded him that he signed up for all this himself to get back at his ex. He's not going to get anywhere if he doesn't have connections in the right industry. He's got to try and show off some talent, show something, or even better, everything at once. Tori's going to call him baby, and he has to call her my love. The dude totally freaked out. Grand told Baby to start practicing. He's clueless who she's calling Baby. The girl's not thrilled about the nicknames either, but it's for the act. They need to rehearse. Nobody's gonna buy that they're dating. Gotta pump up the emotion and confidence in your voice. Ben wasn't thrilled about rehearsing. He was stressed, and Tori was actually worried about him. Eustace went to the bathroom to practice in front of the mirror. The girl believes he can nail this. Ben started his greeting, but Kathleen and Chuck kept popping into his head. The dude was freaking out. Still, he didn't give up and kept at it. Time passed, and the day of the interview finally arrived. One couple claimed they'd been together for 1,000 years. It's a total cliché, but they're being real. The guy in another couple was a nervous wreck. The girl told him to chill and get his head in the game. Others also said they were big deals in this scene, claiming they're super into each other, even if you can't tell. They just thanked and dismissed a bunch of couples. Nobody stood out. This could be a problem. This next couple seems kinda interesting, even though they've only been dating for 5 days. The host digs her style, but her boyfriend looks kinda weird and basic in the photo. Actually, he's tall, and the real reason they got together is a story in itself. Next couple walks in, and the interviewers were totally shocked when they saw them. Tori introduced herself and announced they'd been dating 5 days. Ben Eustace followed suit. They think they're a perfect match, and the judges agree they look amazing. Grand added that besides looks, they've got talents. They can do anything. Ben and Tori started dancing and humming, and the judges figured this couple was made for Heartbreak Hotel. They've got a strong vibe, even though they've only been together for a hot minute. The judges are into it. Then they were asked to show off the power of their love, what they came on the show for. They're not just faking being in love just to get on this show, right? Gran said they're totally serious, and the length of the relationship doesn't matter at all. Even though they just started dating, they're gonna bring the heat. They'll show everyone what's what together. Ben confirmed they're a 5-day couple who's capable of anything. Then the girl added an explanation in even more explicit terms, which kinda shocked Eustace. The judges looked pretty puzzled too. Tori knew this was going a little off script. The girl started hugging Ben and calling him baby, and the guy was thrown off at first, but then he played along. He hugged her back and apologized that nobody takes their love seriously. He wasn't letting go. It's really hard for the judges to believe their relationship, so they want to know more details. Ben volunteered to explain everything, but Tori put a finger to his lips. She'd handle it herself. The guy knows this might reopen some old wounds for her. He's willing to do it himself for her sake. So, just like it was written, their exes fell head over heels for each other at first sight, and they started dating. The interview wrapped up pretty quick. They asked the couple to hang tight, so they plopped down on the couch in the waiting room. Tori realized Ben wasn't half bad as an actor. He nailed the part even better than she thought he would. But they gotta be careful about going off script, otherwise things could get messy, you know? Ben's clueless about what's next, but if he's gonna be on these shows, he figures he'll have to do worse things. You can actually fall for someone on shows like this, but that's never gonna happen with Eustace. He needs to man up. Tori's worried because there were a lot of guys crushing on her. Eustace said they shouldn't sweat it, but she was still a little anxious. The judges noticed that these two went to the same university, even studied in the same department. This is getting interesting. Time for the one-on-one interviews. Tori and Ben were asked to head to the interview rooms. They've got some bonus questions lined up for them. According to their file, they've only been dating for 5 days, so the judges want to see how well they really know each other. Tori's got to name Eustace's favorite band, and the girl's totally freaking out. There's no way she could know that. She started racking her brain, then realized it was Judy, not Eustace. But there's gotta be a band he's really into, especially since he's a music student. Their answers have gotta match, so she decided to just take a shot in the dark and named a band. Turns out she likes that band too. The female judge confirmed it's the right answer. Grand was surprised. The judge admitted she was expecting a wild guess, but the contestant nailed it, which made her happy. Eustace got grilled about Tori's favorite drink, and they even gave him a hint: vodka and beer together. The guy was stumped, already thinking he blew it, but he actually knows the answer. It's Crystal with Guinness. Ben remembered the label on those bottles Tori used to chuck in the trash. If Grant doesn't mix Guinness with Crystal, she won't get tipsy. That was the right answer. The judge is convinced now. They've got real feelings. He's totally buying it. Ben breathed a sigh of relief. He never thought hating that girl would actually come in handy. After that, they met in the hallway. Eustace admitted he was digging the tests and the music here. Grant realized Ben wasn't just listening to Judy, but also artists with some serious pipes. Then they talked about the tricky questions they got asked and the answers they gave. Tori couldn't believe he guessed her favorite drink, but he just got lucky. That evening, Catherine was chilling with Chuck when she got a surprise call from the Heartbreakers producer. She immediately told her boyfriend, and he asked her to put him on speaker. She did what he asked. Word came down the line. Filming's about to kick off, and there's some seriously awesome news for you guys. If you keep those ratings sky high for the whole show, they're gonna offer you a contract. We're talking KMK Entertainment here. Catherine was stoked, started hugging Chuck like crazy. They both thought, finally, our road to success is paved in gold. They were pumped. But little did they know, there was another couple out there ready to throw a wrench in their whole operation. Chuck started seeing comments saying his look was getting kinda basic lately. Like, his outfits were too plain. The dude was bummed, started rifling through his closet. He was stressing, totally blanking on what to wear for the shoot. Catherine's like, just wear what you always wear. He didn't want usual. He begged her to help, but girls got zero fashion sense. She only just started caring about her look, and Chuck's way too hung up on it anyway. The dude was bummed. He was starting to think it was all over, but then he remembered something. Tori had once suggested a jacket and shirt combo to him, said they'd look killer together. Grand used to pick out all of Castor's clothes, but she's not doing that anymore. Meanwhile, Tori was picking out Ben's outfits. He was trying on everything in his closet. Nothing crazy happening today, just the show hosts doing a compatibility test. Catherine and Chuck need to click the link they got sent beforehand. Chuck has to answer which girl he'd be down to meet when he shows up for the date. When he met her, he accidentally spilled coffee on her, and there were different ways the girls could react. One has a chill reaction, and the other girl will dab at the stain with her handkerchief. Castor picked the chill reaction. He doesn't get why this is called a compatibility test. So this is really the test, huh? They haven't told them it's about finding their perfect match yet. Based on their preferences, they'll get matched with the most compatible date. This is their first shoot, and Catherine just helped Chuck get dressed. He's freaking out. It's nerve-wracking being their first day filming. She admitted she's feeling it too. And to top it off, it's a one-on-one date right off the bat. Suddenly, Chuck grabbed her hands and squeezed tight. They won't let anyone mess with what they have. He believes everything will be all right, and he promises Catherine that. She agreed and hugged him. Chuck's the only one for her, and nobody will tear them apart. They headed to the park, started filming. The contestants have to open an envelope when they're alone. After that, they can say goodbye and leave. Custer promised Catherine they'd see each other later. In the letter, he read that the compatibility test is actually a test to find your soulmate. He's supposed to be heading to meet his dream girl right now, and the dude's freaking out. Catherine got the same letter, saying it was a test to find the perfect match, and she's getting anxious. She sat down, wondering who'd show up. She felt uneasy and was visibly nervous. Soon, she heard footsteps. A young guy greeted her from a distance before she could even see him. The voice sounded super familiar. When Catherine turned around, she was in shock. She knows this guy. It was Ben Eustace standing there. He looked totally different now, and he was just as surprised to see her. Chuck was on his way to the meeting spot. He spotted the silhouette of a cute girl from way off. She was standing with her back to him, waiting. Her style was pretty basic. He even doubted she was a participant. The girl turned around and said hi. The guy felt this indescribable shock wash over him. It was Tori Grant standing in front of him, smiling sweetly, but Castor was scared stiff. Ben was giving Catherine the serious eye, just like Tori was doing to Chuck. Their payback starts now. Castor started asking questions, but Tori acted like she had no clue and was just as surprised as anyone. Chuck told her not to get smart with him, but she reminded him they were on a show. He remembered they were filming already and just gave her a polite hello. She said it was nice to meet him too. She said she hoped their first date would go great and asked him to take good care of her. He promised, but he still couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. They shook hands. The girl was loving his confusion. She definitely didn't think this was some kind of compatibility test. This has got to be a search for the perfect match, and she's still Chuck's ideal example. Ben nodded to Catherine and gave her a polite greeting, saying it was a pleasure to meet her. The girl was still in shock. She couldn't wrap her head around how this could happen. It was a total curveball. So this dude asked her out, and Catherine was like totally spaced out just following him. They headed to the kitchen to try and cook something together, but she stayed totally quiet the whole time. The guy figured she was just super shy. He was feeling kinda awkward himself, but hey, it's all for the cameras. He's even trying to play it cool now, but Catherine's got no clue what he's even talking about. Then, the dude introduces himself to her, like they're really meeting for the first time. Catherine introduces herself too, and she realizes this is like a date with her perfect match. Ben didn't expect to find his ideal girl here. There was this silence between them for a few seconds. He grabbed her frosting bag and showed her how else to decorate the cookies and started touching her hand. She got even more freaked out and pulled her hand away. Eustace could tell she was spooked. Meanwhile, Tori suggested to Chuck that they introduce themselves to each other. They were at the pottery studio. She's wondering if Chuck's ever done pottery before. It's her first time, and she doesn't want to look like a total klutz. Castor thought she was totally faking it, 'cause she's obviously a pro, but he kept his mouth shut. They sat down at the wheel and started shaping the clay. Tori kept asking for a little help. The dude agreed, then their hands brushed while they were working. She totally did that on purpose. Chuck jumped back like he'd been burned. She giggled, knowing she made him super awkward. Then Tori asked if he liked her. The guy was clueless about what she wanted from him. This is supposed to be a date with his perfect match, the one who ticks all his boxes. She is his ideal. It even made Chuck clutch his chest. Gran just doesn't get why he's so flustered. Castor didn't know if he should be honest, but on camera, he said that she was totally his type. So he likes outgoing girls like her, and he's totally her type too, maybe even too much. That puppy dog-eyed pretty boy was totally stunned, but he still managed to say thanks. Next thing they knew, they were headed to these apartments that were seriously decked out and swanky. The girl pointed out it was all like some reality show, and Chuck was still totally lost. Tori started poking around, checking out every nook and cranny, and finally Castor snapped. He told her to cut the crap. They needed to talk, but Tori reminded him there were cameras everywhere. She also hinted that everything they said would be broadcast. Chuck let her go, and she kept exploring. They hung out there alone for a while, then the other couples started showing up. The real couples started getting together with their partners, missing each other after being apart. Some were talking smack about the people they got paired up with on that date. Some folks were just plain jealous after all that went down, so Tori Grant, like always, stepped in to smooth things over. She clocked them all as tryhards, even though she's been loving this place since she walked in. One of the girls suggested they all introduce themselves, but not everyone's here yet. One couple confessed they call themselves the Decade Duo because they've been together for 10 years. Someone was shocked. That seemed like forever. Some couples are always on again, off again. Finally, Catherine and Ben showed up. Chuck was stoked to see his girl and rushed over to greet her. Tori wasn't going to stay quiet either, and she sweetly called out to Eustace. Those two looked pissed. When Grand hugged Ben, Catherine was even more blown away. She definitely wasn't expecting that. Tori introduced them as a transfer couple. Their exes are now into each other. Those two broke up with them, and that's how Grand and Eustace started dating. When they applied to be on the show, they'd only been together 5 days, but as a couple, they'd tried everything. After that, they suggested we all introduce ourselves. One couple was called The Reunion. The ones who'd been together for 10 years reintroduced themselves, giving their names again, just like the first couple. They started asking what Chuck and Catherine were called, but they were in no rush to answer, still totally shocked. One girl explained that the introductions weren't a big deal, but Castor chimed in, saying they were a popular couple. They introduced themselves. The girl admitted her name was Catherine, but she'd been using the alias Judy. Some people recognized her as a celebrity and thought it was awesome. Jobs thanked them. Ben realized she was fully exposing her identity by participating. Suddenly, they stopped filming. At that moment, Chuck grabbed Tori's hand and dragged her away. He was absolutely furious. They went outside. The guy demanded an explanation for what she was doing. She acted like she didn't get it. He explained that the transfer couple thing was a total joke, especially since he's dating Catherine himself. Castor figured that's why Grand wanted revenge, even lied about dating Eustace. She insisted they were dating, but Chuck just wouldn't buy it. They broke up, and Ben was there to cheer her up, since they had similar stuff going on, and they got close. Plus, they decided to join because they wanted to, but she was blowing off Chuck's invites. If Tori had said yes back then, he doesn't think things would have gone this far. She tried to end the conversation, but Chuck begged her to stop and keep talking. But Ben was already there to meet her. They hugged, and Eustace wanted to know what Castor wanted from her. Catherine showed up too, telling Ben to knock it off with the jokes, but they insisted it wasn't a joke. Eustace claimed he really liked Tori, but Chuck said they'd planned the whole thing. He and Grand hadn't seen each other in ages, but he couldn't say anything nice to her. It wasn't that kind of situation. Any other girl would be stoked to see him, but she's already trying to bail again. After getting some distance, Ben asked if she was okay, and she just froze. Then she started laughing like a maniac and couldn't stop. Eustace got worried, not knowing what was up with her. This is her woe is me ex-girlfriend act. Tori thinks she deserves the top prize. Then she kept walking. Catherine grilled Chuck about why he picked Tori as his ideal partner, but he pushed back. He was just picking names out of a hat, and Jobs actually chose Eustace for herself. A couple together since they were 10 are getting ready to tie the knot. They want to see if they really should on the show. Others hooked up and broke up. They never thought they'd last this long, but they're good together. Chuck and Catherine are here to get even more famous. He thinks his girl is super cute. Tori and Ben want to prove that time isn't everything. Eustace is sure he'll steal the show. They got a card with the house rules. Everyone read it, then they chatted for a bit. People started asking Catherine where she'd been, and Ben knew that kind of talk would make her uncomfortable. Tori came up to him and asked what he was thinking about, but he just looked at Chuck. Someone reminded everyone about the main rule of the show. You gotta mingle with the other partners. Grand immediately jumped all over Eustace, saying he was the only one she wanted. Then she offered to make coffee, asking who else wanted some, and Catherine decided to join her. Grant admitted that it was weird seeing Jobs outside the university. It had been a long time. She also wanted to know if Jobs liked Chuck. She didn't answer, so Tori asked Ben to help her out. He headed straight for her, but Catherine didn't want to get close to him and tried to slip away. As soon as she turned around, she bumped into Tori with a tray, and the tray started to tip. Grand and Eustace got all worked up, and Jobs, well, she dropped the tray and everything went crashing to the floor. Ben managed to grab Catherine before she could fall and cut herself on the broken glass. The others heard the racket. Another girl rushed over, asking if they were okay, and Ben let go of Jobs, his eyes locked on Tori.